Welcome to the Adventures in Alchemy podcast, where we share tips, techniques, and true stories to support you in using the law of attraction and alchemy to create magic and live the life of your dreams. Here's your host, the founder of DailyAlchemy.com, Michelle Martin Dobbins.
Hey there, it is Michelle Martin Dobbins with DailyAlchemy.com. And the title of this podcast is Making Friends with Your Demons. But I'm not talking about scary demons. Talking about demons that are part of ourselves, like the shadow part. And sometimes what might be shadow looks pretty and doesn't look like a shadow, but it's still there to teach you something about yourself and about the beliefs that you hold, sometimes even on a subconscious level. Actually, a lot of times on a subconscious level. So I'm going to share kind of what happened with me and hopefully some ways that you can process these kind of experiences if they happen to you. So to start, I recorded a podcast a few weeks ago that was called Have It All. And this podcast is like a mini course. There are exercises at the end of it, and I'm not going to go totally deeply into it. So if you haven't listened to it, you might want to. And this is the result that I got from doing those exercises that I asked you to do because I was doing them too. So the 3 exercises, which if you listen to the other podcast, you'll understand this more, but I don't want to take a long time to explain it. The 3 exercises, there were 2 exercises that I asked everybody to do. And one was to take 3 things that you already have and like to enjoy the havingness of them. Because sometimes we possess things and we don't really get joy out of them. We kind of forget that we possess them. And like one example of one of the things that I did was essential oils. I love essential oils. And I realized I hadn't been diffusing them every day. And so I was getting out my essential oil drawer and starting diffusing them and just like really enjoying the fact that I owned these. I possessed them. I had them. And why did I have them? To use them and enjoy them. So I started back using my essential oils. And so I gave everybody an assignment to find 3 things that you already had and to have them, fully have them. So that was the first part. And the second part is where I ended up with a little twist in my life. And that assignment was to look at 3 things in your life that you didn't have and that you were quite thankful that you didn't have. You know, and like one example I gave was a new baby. Like, you know, new babies are wonderful and beautiful, but sometimes it's not what we particularly want. So maybe if you knew someone who is a new mother, could you do something to help her? Or could you watch her baby while she slept or whatever for something just to reach out? And I asked you to choose 3, and I knew that was a lot, especially if you're doing something for a particular person that takes time. And so I did say that 2 of it could be kind of more of an anonymous type thing. Like what I chose for my first 2 was I just went on to GoFundMe.com. And if you go on GoFundMe, you will find all kinds of people who are dealing with all kinds of situations that you are really thankful that you do not have to deal with. And I went on GoFundMe and very quickly found 2 situations I decided to donate to, sit and spend some time sending Reiki or energy healing to those people and their situation and, just visualizing life getting better for them and being very grateful that that was a situation that I didn't have. It's a great deal. And I will throw in here that I go into these quadrants a little bit more, and this is not something that I created, but it was created by Carolyn Elliott. And she has a website that is The Art of Having, and CarolynElliott.com. And I'll put a link in this show notes too, because she's fabulous and I don't want to misappropriate any of her work. And so I'm not teaching exactly what she's teaching, but my ideas expanded on some stuff that I learned from her, and I want to give her credit because that's the cool thing to do. Plus, she's amazing. So that was all really easy. But then I had this last thing that I wanted to do, and I wanted to follow the instructions that I gave everybody else, right? Because that is also where I'm going to find growth for myself, which is to actually like interact with other humans to do it. Like go say, hey, can I help you? Can I babysit your baby for a bit? I know you're a new mom. You might need a break. Or, you know, you have this new puppy. Do you need somebody to take it for a walk for you today? Or whatever, you know, whatever. It doesn't, it doesn't have to be like, if you go to GoFundMe, the situations are heart-wrenching, heartbreaking. But, it doesn't even have to be that big. It can be something like, I'm so glad I do not have a new puppy in my house. Let me help this person out. And it's not like, oh, the pain of a new puppy. Although I've had new puppies. So sometimes, as much as the blessings can be, a lot of work. But, or it could be someone who had lost a family member and, you can make them a meal or whatever. And so I was looking for what I should do. And I got it, well, maybe I could make a meal for this person or I could do that. But just like some reason, it just didn't feel right. And I was like, kind of getting like, okay, you don't have to be perfectionistic, the first thing, but there was like this feeling of there's something really important that you need to do, but darned if I couldn't put my finger on it. So I think I posted the podcast. I usually record podcasts on Tuesday, and this was Friday. So I had recorded it on Tuesday, and it was Friday, and I may have just actually got it posted up and sent out the newsletter that morning, and I still hadn't completed my third. So I went to bed that night, and before I went to bed, I said, Spirit, Universe, please give me an unmistakable sign as to what I can do. What is the way that I can connect with someone to show gratitude for having a situation that I don't have and I don't want to have. And I went to sleep. And my husband's phone rang at, 2 or 3 a.m. And I can't go into extreme details about the situation because I am bound by confidentiality clauses. But my husband was asked to pick up 3 children whose mother and any other family members, immediate family members, could not care for them at this time immediately. And so he did. And, when those 3 little munchies came marching into my house somewhere between 3 and 4 a.m., I was like, well, here it is, right? Because I do not have the situation of not being able to care for my children. And that would be like the biggest nightmare for me, especially in this case. Not only could she not care for them, but she would not be allowed to have physical contact for a while with them. So I was really humbled to be able to be in that place, to care for them and to keep them safe and to try to keep them happy. And it was nice. And then social workers came and my husband and I were asked to take custody of these children long term, like maybe even until they're 18, custody. And that's where the demon part of this story comes in. And no, it has nothing to do with the children. They are beautiful, delightful children, ages 9, 7, and 3. And if you don't know about my background, I have 4 children. I have a 17-year-old, I have 12-year-old twins, and an 11-year-old. So I've done little kid duty. I've done it well. And I love kids. I used to be a school teacher. And so there was this part of me whose just heart leapt. She was like all, shopping for new cars because our current vehicle does not hold 7 people. It does not hold 9 people. And if we adopted these children, basically, our family would grow to 9 people. And I was like, 10 passenger cars and 9 passenger cars and, I was making up schedules and I was doing this and that. And I mean, it's like this part of me that I label the demon. It's not really a demon. It's like part of me. And I'm like, this is a good part of me. This part of me loves to nurture. And it is a good part of me. But this part of me also has some shadow side. This part of me likes to nurture people as an excuse not to do the things that I dream of doing, as an excuse to keep myself from doing podcasts, as an excuse to keep myself from writing because I have to nurture, because I have to care for these children's needs. So, I was on a roller coaster because having these extra children, it made me tired and it took away from my focus. So yeah, having these extra kids was hard. It was hard work, and there's nothing wrong with having 7 kids, 8 kids, 10 kids, 14 kids. If that's your joy and that's your bliss. And, I just had to come to terms with the fact that I wanted a role in these children's life, but I didn't want to be their parent. And wonderfully, we had some friends who couldn't have children, who wanted these children, and were just excited and enthused, and it seemed like the perfect solution. And indeed, I still believe it is the perfect solution. But when those children left my home, this demon, this shadow part of me, was very upset. She threw herself across the bed and had a major temper tantrum. Metaphorically, of course. But I cried a lot, and I just felt this overwhelming sense of guilt and, pain. And so this is why I'm kind of recording this podcast to share with you. Sometimes we do these things and things come up because they're in there. And we need to make peace with those old stories so that we can clear them out. For me, it's I have to continually give of myself to be a good person. And so I worked on this, and I journaled, and I just let this person pour out everything that she wanted and wrote it down. This person who was the part of me that was so mad that I let these children go to a home that is so excited to have them, and just, making plans for all kinds of wonderful things for these kids when I was struggling with taking on the role. But there was part of me that given the green light, she would have went hog wild on making everything perfect for these children, because that's kind of what I do with parenting. Is, I love my kids and I love making everything, you want ukulele lessons, you want this, you want that. But I had to realize that with 7, there was only so much time in the day, and my parenting style would definitely have to change. And definitely I'm working on improving that anyway. Yeah, that's a whole different subject anyway. So I felt like I had to just really tap into that person and sit there and let her write all of her feelings, why she was mad, why she was upset, why she thought that we should have these children. And, I did find out a lot of my hidden beliefs. So, I found out that, I believe that I would be a better person if I did that this, sacrificing was good. And I found out that I like being able to use the fact that I have a lot of children as an excuse why I can't do certain things that I want to do. And then there were some other ones that I didn't even know. I realized that I like people to look at me and think that I'm a good person because I'm taking care of all these kids. And I was like, whoa, that's definitely not the right reason, right? I mean, they're just because for me it wasn't right to become the parent of these children. I'm not saying for anybody else in the situation. For somebody else, it might have been the right thing. But for me, the reasons that I would have chosen to do it were not right. And I believe would have caused some stress to build up and made me be not the best parent for them. But yeah, some of these little thoughts came out that were like, it's kind of like when someone is ill and they realize, oh, I like getting attention for being ill. I realized I like getting attention for having lots of kids. And I was like, how crazy is that when you say it out loud? It's not a good reason to adopt 3 children. And so this opened my eyes, but I still just had these feelings because this is a part of myself. And so then I decided that the best way to really integrate this was to give this part of myself a job. Give her some love and be friends with her because she's part of me. And to me, to just try to cut off part of yourself, you're kind of fragmenting yourself and you're not really, you're not really giving yourself your due. Because I personally, and I'm not a psychologist, but I believe that, even the shadow aspects of ourselves, the things of us that make us do crazy things can be integrated and can be made friends with and can work with us. So I sat and I wrote love letters to this part of myself. And I told her how wonderful I thought she was and how I loved that she loved to nurture. And I loved how wonderfully she took care of other people. And that I had a really, really big job for her going forward that she was going to be put in charge of. And that was taking care of me and nurturing me. Because I'm going to guess that a lot of you might be like me in this, and you find it really easy to nurture other people and not so easy to nurture yourself. And I've worked on this. It's a constant work in progress of being sweet to myself, being nice to myself, having the stuff that I have and savoring it and enjoying it and taking time for me. And, there's always that part of me that wants to raise up and go, oh, that's selfish. And then I remind myself, like I remind you, that you have to take care of self. You have to nourish self or you end up having nothing left to give. And really, I think that maybe if I had chosen to adopt 3 more children, just as the personal situation that I'm in, I may have really put myself in that burnout situation. So, what does this mean for you? When you have something that you're very torn on, or something that you may have a clear decision on, say your clear decision is, I choose to no longer eat sugar. And there's a part of you that just loves sugar. To try to cut that person off, to try to cut that little sugar-loving demon out of your life, it's not likely to be successful. So, you may want to sit down and let that part of you write out all their feelings about giving up sugar. Why to them it feels so terrible, and why to them they really, really, really want to have that sugar. And when you do that, you may get some insights on some beliefs that you hold that you didn't know you held, like I did in this situation. And then once all that has been brought out, acknowledged by you, and you understand how this part of yourself feels, then you can do what I did and write a love letter to that demon part of yourself, in this case the sugar-loving demon, and and generally you want to tell them that you love them and that you see how much good they've given to you because you have really enjoyed eating all those sweet treats. It's been really, really nice, but now we're going to shift focus, and I have a job for you. To me, I think that's a great part of this letter, is showing that part of yourself love and then giving that part of yourself a job. In this case, it might be, I want you to find foods that don't have sugar in them that we can enjoy and savor and that you love. And, like even desserts that are, healthy and have, alternative sweeteners in it that make our body feel better. And I know that you can do it because you've done this before for me in the past. You've found yummy, yummy stuff. So now we're just going to shift it a little bit and we're going to find yummy, yummy stuff that doesn't have sugar. So to kind of recap before I go on too long, when you find that you're making a decision and a part of you stands up and says no, and gets very upset and fights against and refuses to comply with your decision, then what you want to do is take these 3 steps. First, allow that part of yourself to speak. And for me, that meant just getting a journal and writing it all out. Like, why are you angry about this? Or why do you think we should keep eating sugar? Or why do you think we shouldn't quit this job? Or why do you think, we shouldn't write a book? Or why do you think whatever it is that you want to do, but part of you is railing against? And I'm calling that part a demon. It's not really, but I just kind of do that for fun little visualization purposes. So let that person, that part of yourself, that personification, speak out everything that they need to say. Let them get it out on the table. And, just really do not censor. Let everything that comes up in your mind from them go out on the paper. Or if you're a person who just wants to say it out loud and record it or whatever works for you, but let it all come out, because you, like me, may be surprised. Because for me, knowing that I like to use having to take care of my kids as an excuse, I had worked, that story had come up to me before. I was aware of that, if not totally cleaned that up. I was definitely aware of it. But I was not aware that I had that dark little side of me who wanted to be kind of glorified or looked up to because I had a lot of kids to take care of, and because I was so self-sacrificing. I wanted someone to say, oh, look at her, she's doing wonderful things. And I was like, it's kind of embarrassing to find out and admit that that was there, but it's also very empowering. So let that part of yourself speak out everything that it needs to say about why it's upset about these changes that you want to make in your life. And then after you fully listened, this is kind of like, listen first, and then you get to speak back. And then when you speak back, the way I did it was I wrote a love letter back to this aspect of myself and told them all the reasons why everything that they've done in the past for me has been really good, and all the things that they've done that I've enjoyed, and all the things that they've done that have been really helpful. I mean, I have 4 children. Having a nurturing aspect to me is good. And then you give them the new job. So for my case, that new job was that my nurturer has to nurture me. Doesn't mean that she doesn't keep nurturing my children, but she has to nurture me as well. And like I said, for someone who wants to give up chocolate, they can help you find new yummy things to eat. For someone who wants to quit the job and find a new one, they can help you find aspects of a new job that will meet the needs that they really liked from the old one. And some of this will depend on what that aspect of yourself wrote whenever you wrote out everything that they wanted and need. So give that a try. Try those 3 steps anytime that you have 2 parts of yourself divided and fighting against each other. You want to make a change, and there's a part of you that steadfastly doesn't. You can make that little demon your friend, get them on your side, and work in for you. All right, so have a fabulous, wonderful day. Go out and create some magic. Until next time, namaste and big hugs. Would you like some help creating more magic in your life? I've got a ton of freebies and goodies for you. They're all tucked away inside my magical freebie vault. You can get free access, though. You just have to go to www.dailyalchemy.com/magical-freebie-vault. Again, that's dailyalchemy.com/magical-freebie-vault. And when you get there, you can just plug in your name and email and you will get instant access to all kinds of goodies. There are daily and weekly manifesting planners, the How to Shift Your Vibe in 5 Minutes e-kit that has audios and a workbook. There are moon manifesting planners and daily love lists and money trackers and all kinds of goodies right there. I didn't want to make you have to go to a bunch of different pages and sites and wait for certain freebies to come out. So I just took all of my freebies and put them in one place where you could just sign up one time and download any of them that you want at any time that you needed. So you can just head on over to dailyalchemy.com/magical-freebie-vault and download them today. Have a magical day.
Thanks for listening to the Adventures in Alchemy podcast. Connect with me on thedailyalchemy.com or Facebook at facebook.com/Michelle Dobbins author. Join us next time for even more magical life tips.